I think there is this ongoing question in the gaming space and just PC building in general of how much RAM do you actually need to run your PC and also perform games at the level you would hope for. So today I have this scientific approach, if you will, however you want to call it, where I'm going to take 8 gigabytes of RAM all the way up to 64 gigabytes of RAM and determine, does it actually impact you that much? Or are you overspending? Or maybe you're underspending and you would get a lot more performance. Before Ramageddon happened, this wouldn't have been as big of a question because you could find RAM reasonably priced, but now 64 gigabytes might cost more than many of us pay in rent or a mortgage. So what we are going to do, I have two different PCs behind me because I'm not wealthy enough to afford 8 gigabytes, 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes of RAM all on one platform. So I'm gonna have to use two different CPUs because those are the types of RAM I have. So behind me, I have here an Intel platform with an i7-8700K. If you watched the latest video I put out, I benchmarked this PC. It's a little bit of an older CPU, but it still did the job. And we have all those colored lights back here. I might zoom in for you guys to see that. Those are 4 8 gigabytes, 4 sticks of 8 gigabyte RAM. But because I've been roasted before about not using dual channel, here we have two 4 gigabyte sticks. So this will equal 8. We're gonna use two 8 gigabyte sticks in this PC. And then we're gonna have to come over to our AM5 platform. Again, this is what I've got, so bear with me here. This has a Ryzen 5 9600X, and we are going to be using this for our two 16 gigs equaling 32 gigs of RAM. And over here is the expensive stuff. Don't ask me how I got it. In fact, you can ask me, or subscribe to the newsletter and you'll find out. But we have 64 gigs of RAM right there, the DDR5 stuff. What I'm going to be doing with all of the versions of RAM, 8, 16, 32, and 64, is be playing two different games. So we're going to test out Arc Raiders and Marvel Rivals. And then we are actually going to do something a little different on this video. I'm going to open up 5 YouTube browsers on Chrome. And while the game is running, I'm going to type in cats on each of those YouTube pages and then see how quickly the first video loads up. Because I think something that's really important beyond just the metrics and the FPS and all the graphs that we see, I hear a lot of times like, hey, I have Discord running in the background, or I have Spotify, or I have this. And while this isn't a perfect approach, and there are probably better avenues that I could take to get to those types of things, I feel like this might give us just an understanding of, well, if you do use those things in the background and you're gaming, are you going to see severe performance drop? Are those videos even going to load? Will there be a big difference in the time that it takes? Because for me personally, I was working with these 32 gigs of RAM, and outside of this, I have a recruiting business where I use sites that just are very slow, and even high-end PCs can kind of take a little while. I plopped in the 64 gigs of RAM, and I did notice a much quicker load time on those websites. So I thought that perhaps if we took that test and applied it there, it might also show like, hey, beyond just gaming, if you were gaming and had Spotify and Discord and maybe something else, how would it run? So we're gonna test out those games. In addition, I do have a newsletter where I announce the upcoming content. So I'll let you guys know things about like, is your monitor going to bottleneck you? That'll be an interesting video, and I'll put kind of some of the details that are going to go in there. I also let you know in this PC building space things that I encounter. For example, how I happened upon 64 gigs of RAM, or how I helped someone sell their PC for almost double what they were asking for within about 5 to 6 hours, and they were needing it for rent money. I was going to lowball them, and I was like, why are you wanting to sell this? And they were like, well, I need the rent money. So instead of paying the $250 that I wanted to pay, I helped the guy sell it for $400 because they needed the money. So if you want to see stuff like that, I have a newsletter that I am currently working towards getting published. I have that link down in the description below. It is a free service, and if you wanted to continue to support the channel, so maybe that I could afford to buy AM5 or Intel RAM instead of having to use two different PCs, maybe the two different PCs helps. There is a subscription on there where you can pay $5 a month, and if you are on that service for 3 months, every June and December, I will give a PC away. to those subscribers. So not just every subscriber, but I'll do a drawing and one subscriber will win. You do have to be in the United States for that, so consider that. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get tested. We're gonna start out on this PC and do the 8 gigabytes of RAM first. All right, you guys, so we are loaded up on Arc Raiders here. I am gonna show you real quick that we do have 8 gigabytes of RAM. We are on the Intel i7-8700K, which you can also see here. So we're just gonna walk through. I'll show you the settings real quick. I think I'm gonna try to keep it consistent on all of them just because I don't want any super variance. But we are running, I did notice in the last video I did Arc Raiders that I had frame gen on, didn't realize it, so I am going to leave it on for this. Low latency is on, FSR 3. We have the 2080 Ti. I don't remember if there is DLSS on this or not. Oh, there we go, DLSS. All right, so we jumped on DLSS. We're gonna use the auto, whatever. I don't think we can use DLSS 4. Static for the global illumination, and then everything else is on medium. So let's go ahead and jump into the gameplay. So we are on 8 gigs of RAM. It's using 7 gigs total. I mean, this honestly still looks really solid. I guess we're just gonna have to kind of see if there's performance dips, or I probably need to go this way to run towards some stuff. So I might cut through this part. You know, we'll kind of look through some things visually. Honestly, this is pretty solid. I would like to run into a person or some arc just to shoot, kind of see, but I am not noticing any problems at all. And this is on 8 gigabytes. And some of you got annoyed with me in the last video, said an 8700K isn't old. It's a 9-year-old CPU. So this is still a relatively old CPU. So this is an older CPU on 8 gigs of RAM. And you can see like the particles and things, like things are flying around. And oh, here's a friendly. All right, I'm not gonna fight him if he's a friendly. I do wanna get in here. Okay, there was some stuttering. So keep in mind, on Arc Raiders, I am going to go ahead and open up those 5 browsers and pull up YouTube and type in cats. So I do want to go find an arc first, just do some shooting here and see like if there's any major issues. I wish I had started out a little bit closer, but you guys are getting to kind of see all of the visuals. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and shoot at that. All right, let's see if... Honestly, I'm not noticing much, if anything. Where'd it go? Oh, there's a few. Okay, I'm sorry. What's the button to... I have managed to get myself killed. What's the button to put your stuff away? X? It's not X. Oh gosh. All right, I'm gonna heal up real quick. So while we're in here, also I wasn't even paying attention to the frames. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. While we're in here, let's go ahead and open up YouTube real quick. So we are gonna open up 5 of these. Again, there's probably a better method here, but I just kind of wanted to see how bad it was and you know how responsive it is. This isn't too bad. I mean, okay, there is. Okay. Cat. Who knew that I picked a word that you can type with just one hand? Okay, that didn't go. All right, cats are too funny. Cats are too funny. Cats are too... This is pretty responsive. Cats are too funny. Cats are too funny. Add. Wow. Oh, that one didn't load. You can see they're all running. Are they down? No, they're still HD. Okay. All right, let's go try to get myself killed here. Hopefully you guys can hear those cats in the background, but all right, what is it? Is it H? It's H. H is the put it away. You know, if I play this game more, I might have to rebind that. I have played it some, but I don't really get to game outside of this because I'm too busy. So that's why I'm a massive noob here, you guys. Okay, here we go. Wow, I am still getting great performance here. I'm not noticing like any kind of drops whatsoever. This is nuts. This is blowing my mind. The fact that we're doing this on 8 gigs of RAM. Cool, that seems like a good spot. Let's go ahead and jump over to Marvel Rivals and see if there's any performance loss there. All right, you guys, so we've got Marvel Rivals loaded up here. We are still on the 8 gig. Oh, that guy just came in swinging, man. That guy just came in swinging. Anyway, we're still on the 8 gigs here. I didn't know I was just gonna get thrown in like that. Let me show you the settings really fast. So we are on 1440p. It's important to note that I forgot to mention that. DLSS quality, we're on medium. Everything's medium except for the model detail. I'm not very good at this game. I literally have only played it to benchmark it, so please don't flame me too hard. But yeah, visual-wise, quality, I mean, everything looks pretty solid. I'm not noticing like anything crazy when I move around quickly. Oh, I forgot this guy does that. So let's go ahead and get some action in here. This guy's too fast. Hey, we got him. All right, cool. See if I can take someone down here. Oh, I screwed up. Let's cancel that. All right, we got taken down. I'm really not noticing like any stuttering, any performance issues. I'm not seeing anything that like, I keep forgetting that that does that. It is a little frustrating that I'm not like able to easily get in fights. This is a very spread out map. Woohoo! Straight punch that guy. Where? See, I don't understand how to get up. Oh. Where'd she go? Yeah, I'm getting owned. So obviously I'm not very good at this, but like, I'm not seeing any issues for us lagging. I mean, we're at 80 to 90 FPS. I think maybe we're dropping down to 60s or whatever, but this seems very adequate. So let's go ahead and swap over to the 16 gigs and see if there's any difference, if those YouTube videos load quicker or... But honestly, these 8 gigs surprisingly seems adequate. So maybe I picked the wrong games to benchmark, but I'm impressed so far. All right, you guys. So we are now in Arc Raiders on the 16 gigs of RAM version. Let me show you real fast just so you can verify. We're at 16 gigs of RAM. It is interesting. So the other RAM that I had was 8 gigs at 2133. Usually that's what motherboards default to, I think. But this is a higher end motherboard, so it's actually defaulting this RAM to 2667. Just an interesting note, because it technically is rated at 3000, but usually if you don't change something in your BIOS, it will lower your speed, just so you're aware. Oh, I pressed escape like I was going to do something. So we are in Arc Raiders. It's immediately jumping up more gigs of RAM to 13 gigs. So this is a very RAM hungry game. You'll see that when we get to 64 gigs. The first thing I would like to note is whenever I was on 8 gigs, I didn't record that part, but there's an intro part to each game before you get in Arc Raiders where you're like getting into the ship or whatever that is. That was extremely laggy and poorly optimized for the 8 gigs. This one ran it smooth and quickly. So again, I'm gonna continue to keep the settings the same. So still NVIDIA DLSS, we've got frame gen on, static on the global illumination, and then everything else is on medium. I mean, it obviously looks pretty similar. I'm not really noticing like anything major. I am gonna try to go inside this building and shoot at some things and see like if there's any type of latency, any kind of problems, but honestly, like it really doesn't feel any different. I think we're getting maybe some more FPS, but beyond that, is there even anything up here? Oh, wow. Are there any arcs around here? Okay, well, Clearly I'm uneducated, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip to a part of the video where we found something to fight. Okay, so we did find some arc. I'm gonna shoot at them, and then I'm gonna try to run away into that building and hopefully not die. I think they probably will kill me, but I'm gonna go ahead and shoot at these guys just to see if there's any kind of FPS drop, stutter, lag, anything like that. All right, let's get it to come chase me. Actually, I think it's just gonna kill me over here, but that's fine. Wait. Where is it? I could beat this one. As long as no more show up, I should be okay. Yep, okay, cool. Any more show up? No? All right, let's go do our test on cats here. So we'll open up 5 of these. 3, 4, and 5. Well, not that. Cats. I guess I could just click on this, huh? Since I already did it. Cats. 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 We'll go again with this very first video. This is already seeming a lot faster. Loaded. Loaded. Slower but loaded. A little slower but loaded. Loaded. Okay. So obviously our RAM usage went up by, wow, 3 gigs just off of that. Interesting thing to note. Oh, there is another one. Where is it? I hear it. Okay, I am noticing some latency here. I am really bad. Oh, there's 2. We probably gonna die here. That's all right. This is showing us, I mean, I'm really not getting a lot of problems out of this though. Oh, yeah, we gonna die. All right, let's just go ahead and get this over with. Run! This will be the end of me. I really cannot complain about what we're experiencing here. Unless there's randomly some ammo in here. Speaker, nothing in there. All right, let's go accept our death. Actually, you know, oh wait, here we go. Sweet death. Okay, cool. So that shows us there obviously are some improvements here. Still some problems. You did see that we jumped up to 15, almost 16 gigs of RAM. So there is a lot of things that are running in the background, like just opening up those YouTube videos. So keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and jump over to Marvel Rivals and see, you know, if there's a big difference. If I notice anything, I probably won't because I'm really bad. So, all right, 16 gigs on Marvel Rivals. I will again show you guys the settings just so that we have consistency here. Still 1440p, DLSS, quality, medium. Everything else is set to medium. You can see our frames have increased. I think we were sitting at 70 to 90 before, and the RAM usage has definitely gone up. I don't know if the frames will stay consistent. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that that's what this guy does. Interesting, because is there anyone else even in this game? Oh, there's tons of people. It could just be because I'm not in a fight of any kind. So once I find people, if I figure out how to find anyone, we will notice if there is, I mean, the frames are staying consistent here, but I just need some fighting going on. What is happening? Here we go. All right, here we go. Lots of fighting now. Frames are still like 100. Oh, we got one. I don't know if I'm not supposed to be fighting people or what. Oh, these guys are massive. Ow. Oh, okay. So 14 gigs of RAM, 140 FPS there. Ow. It does seem like I'm getting more frames out of this. So I guess it is good to have ran this game. Oh, bam. Oh, how are they? These guys are just owning me. Whatever character that guy has seems a little unfair. consistently higher FPS. So I think we are starting to see that perhaps there is a difference, though it's not massive. You know, in all facets, it does seem like we are getting more performance in a game like this out of RAM. So that's interesting to know. I guess maybe these people just don't want to fight. They're just here to hang out. I'm in like a Doom match thing. Maybe that's what those are, is like Doom match people. So yeah, that feels like a good spot to kind of call it here on Marvel Rivals. I think it proves a point. I mean, that I guess there is a better performance in RAM, you know, the higher you go. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to the AM5 platform with 32 gigs and really start to see, like, are we going to ramp up even further? What differences there might be, and go from there. All right, you guys, so now we are on the AM5 platform. Just to refresh, this has a Ryzen 5 9600 paired with a 9070 XT, and we're on the 32 gigs. Now, obviously, this is not apples to apples. This is probably like apples to zebra, because this computer overall is superior to what we just tested, so that being able to compare the two results is not, it's not going to be perfect, but at least it's going to give us just a general idea of, like, maybe, especially the 32 to the 64, if there really is a difference or a notice in the RAM. So we have arc raters up here. Let me go ahead and show you guys just so you can see. We are on 32 gigs of RAM. This is the Ryzen 5 9600X, and then, you know, the 9070 XT is a 16 gig card. So obviously you're going to be looking at the quality of this and go, holy cow, that looks so much better. I mean, look at the fire, and this is all still on medium. Let me show you the settings here. Again, not changing everything, so it's all just the same. So FSR, we have frame gen on, static. Oh, let me go down. Why is this on epic? That could have been why. We're going to go to medium. There we go. Still pretty solid. But anyway, oh, wow, that was fast. Okay, so we're here. We're at almost 18 gigs of RAM. I don't know that I want to fight that thing over there, because I still wanted to be able to pull up the web browser with YouTube running. AMD, this is your chance to sponsor me, guys, because I have spoken of this RX 9070 XT so highly, and it is such a good card. So genuinely, you guys should consider that. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot this thing here. Help out a fellow arc raider. Boom, got it. All right, so we're sitting around 18 gigs of RAM. Let's go ahead and do our test where we jump into the web browser. I'm gonna go inside really quick so I don't die during that process. Man, I can't believe this is what it looks like. Like, it's just night and day, the difference. Okay, so we're gonna go over here and hide. Let me go ahead and pull up YouTube, or Chrome. So YouTube. This already feels a lot more responsive. Oh, no, that wasn't the right one. That's my fault, you guys. That was a company that potentially wanted to sponsor me. So there you go. You guys are getting some free publicity right there. Cats are too funny. Cats are too funny. This is loading really fast. Wow, it's playing immediately. That was a major difference. Again, apples to zebras here. That was an older CPU. It's slower RAM. It's a slower graphics card, but dang. Look, they're all like basically at the same scene here, and they're all on 1080. I mean, you have to manually choose to go to 4K or whatever. Let's jump back into the game. So what were we at? 17, 18. We've jumped up 2 to 3 gigs of RAM here. I have not been paying attention to the FPS at all, but let's go see if that affects our performance in any way. I'll go shoot some stuff. Maybe you guys are getting tired of hearing the same cat video over and over again. I hear an arc. I'm gonna die. Oh, this is the end for me. Oh, I shot the wrong one. That's all right. We have 3 in us. We're dead. So that feels like a good spot for us to finish up on Arc Raiders. Let's go ahead and move over to Marvel Rivals, and then we'll jump over to the 64 gigs and just kind of go through that, and then close up the video and just discuss, is there a difference? Should you spend more money, or is it fine going with 8 gigs of RAM versus 64? We've got Marvel Rivals loaded up on the 32 gigs of RAM on the AIM-5 platform. I always say 9600 instead of 9600X. You guys, I am terrible at speaking. Whoa, I might not have the shaders preloaded. In fact, I bet I don't. So we're gonna go ahead and show you the settings real quick. We're on FSR 4, quality, everything should be set to medium still, so nothing different there. Obviously you can note we're using 17, almost 18 gigs of RAM here. I'll fight you. Oh, I don't think we have the shaders loaded. So, you know, we're obviously getting more FPS. This is significantly higher quality. How do I get up there? Oh, I missed. Oh, I died. Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot better. Like I said, I think that I didn't let the shaders finish loading. That's why we're seeing some of the stutters. But graphic fidelity wise, again, this is apples to zebras. I mean, the 9600X and 9070 XT is superior in every way. So, oh, that's not what I meant to do. But outside of those like pre-shader things, I'm not noticing anything. Man, none of these people want to fight. Well, there's a dead Spider-Man. Yeah. I mean, let's fight this guy. Is this a Doombot? Fight me. Oh, I think that's why I was dying to those things earlier. I think those are Doombots. Oh! Ah, run! Punch him! Oh. Get him! Oh! Oh, did we get him? Oh, he just... he just upgraded. I guess that's what happens when you fight these Doombots. Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew more about Marvel Rivals to give you guys good perspective on it, but it looks better. It's running... I mean, it ran the same before, realistically, on all of them, essentially. But it does look better, and that's about it. I guess it's just not a very difficult game to run. So maybe next time I'll pick a better game where you guys could suggest it. But let's go ahead and jump over to the 64 gigs of RAM and then test all that and tie the video up. All right, you guys, so now we are in Arc Raiders on the 64 gigs of RAM. You can tell by the colored lights over there. I'm going to show you those just so you can verify. Here it is, 64 gigs of 4,800 megatransfers per second, megahertz, whatever the technical term is. So I will show you again that we are leaving everything on the same settings. AMD FSR 3 frame gen is on. FSR 3, I think. No, it won't let us do FSR 4. Static, continuing to do medium. I don't even know how we're getting 300 frames. That to me is insane. We're on frame gen, obviously, but 18 gigs of RAM. Now, I'm going to show you this just because we have the power to right now. We're going to drop it back down and play on it normally. I'm going to turn all of this as high as it will go, and I want you to watch our RAM usage. So here is where that RAM does help. What were we just at? 18? So we jumped up 5 to 6 gigs of RAM. And we dropped a lot of FPS, obviously, but yeah, so let's go ahead and go back to the medium. That way you guys can just, it's all fair. It's all comparing the same thing. So low, down to medium. And I will say this, and I'm gonna continue to say it. The parts where I have noticed that the RAM really comes in is like when I'm turning on the PC, when I'm clicking on things, like things that aren't always game related are really impacted by the amount of RAM. So if you're not just gaming, it's probably gonna make a big difference. But anyway, let's go over here. I will stop rambling and ranting at you guys. Same thing, so I'm gonna look for an arc, shoot at it, try and run away. Actually, you know what? This time, I might just go ahead and, because you obviously can tell that it's running fine, I'm gonna go ahead and just load up our YouTube stuff. Yep, so there's a guy in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and load up all these videos real quick. All right, YouTube. It's already feeling real quick. It's kind of like human limited at this point. Cats. Let's turn it up a little bit so you guys can hear. Cats. Cat. I mean, it was insanely fast. We could do another 5. Cats. We'll keep going here. Cat. So we have 10 pages of YouTube open with cats running. And wow, look at the RAM usage, 28 gigs. So we were at 18. We were at 18 before. Hold on, let me close this real quick. So we're at 28. It's gonna keep dropping. I'm pretty certain it'll keep dropping. No? Okay, so 24 is where it wants to sit. That's fine. But let's go ahead and open all those back up. So we were sitting at 24. Now it's, you know, slowly climbing up again. Let's go ahead and here and just shoot at this thing. Yeah, see, it's still climbing up. I swear I saw one of those things in here that you could shoot at. Where's the little ball thing? I don't know what they're called, man. I know it's called an arc. Okay, well, I guess let's go in here. Yeah, see, we're up to 27. Where is it? Is it in here? Wow, interesting. I guess it was scared. It heard how good I am at this game and decided to run. Okay. Well, I think I heard some fighting out here. So here we go. Yeah, I mean, 290 FPS, 26 gigs of RAM. I can't see anything. I'm not noticing any kind of issues anywhere at all. Ah! Yeah, this is... Oh, we're getting an ad right now. Wow. Yeah, that... I think this just speaks for itself. Like, we are seeing a pattern that the more RAM there is, the more smooth the game is going to run, but how you can also run things out in the background. Let's go ahead and jump over to Marvel Rivals, where again, I'm horrible, but hopefully you guys have been enjoying it. Let's get some gameplay on that on the 64 gigs. All right, guys, so now we are in Marvel Rivals on the 64 gigs of RAM. And the first thing I want to point out, when we're comparing the 8 all the way up to the 64, is the RAM usage just by default. Let me out. I'm engaged. All right, so we were at 7 gigs of RAM. That was what our usage was. Look at what we're at now. This is just without doing anything, without playing, without being anywhere. So I'm going to show you the settings. Again, I've been trying to keep everything consistent just because we're on FSR 4, quality, medium, medium, medium. I am, just because we can, going to put everything all the way up to ultra. And I'm willing to bet our RAM usage is going to go up. I mean, it's going up some, but not as much as I expected. Wow, this thing is still pulling 130 FPS. I'm going to go back and lower it down just so that we're at a fair review again. So let's go ahead and back down to medium, enter, confirm, Still 28 gigs of RAM. I mean, obviously the graphic fidelity is super high. We're getting a ton of frames. It looks solid. I mean, again, outside of just a couple things here, I really don't know what to tell you guys other than it runs great. And I feel bad like saying anything otherwise because it runs really well. I mean, I think this is just proof that there is actually a difference in comparison in gaming and to overall use performance to RAM. So let's go ahead and just get out here a little bit further, kind of give you guys just a little more gameplay. But we're going to go ahead and wrap the video up after this and kind of talk about the overall thoughts. Where do I go? I wish I was just better at Marvel Rivals for you guys in general, because I feel bad here. I mean, yeah, we're at 28 gigs of RAM. What is this? Is this going to kill me? Come here. This guy's not taking any damage. Oh, I died. Okay, so I feel like that's a good spot to go ahead and wrap it up. Let's go ahead and talk about this and just kind of discuss my overall thoughts. So to tie everything up, I think the answer is a little more complicated than yes or no. There is a need for 8 gigs of RAM or 64 gigs of RAM. I think it depends on your personal needs and maybe your budget, because you know, if you're just trying to load into Fortnite or Marvel Rivals or even Arc Raiders here, and you have a decent processor and graphics card, this is weird to say, but maybe you can actually just survive on 8 gigs of RAM. Now, if you are trying to play at higher settings, you are going to be running Discord, Spotify, YouTube, whatever other program in the background, some kind of NVIDIA, you know, screen capture, OBS type thing, you probably need more. So in 2026, with Ramageddon going on and the RAM, you know, prices just being ridiculous, if this was 6 months ago, I would have just said opt in for 16 or 32 or even 64 gigs, because at that point I think it was like $250 or $300 for 64 gigs, and now it's like $800 or $900 for a brand new set. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like maybe you don't have to have 16 gigs. And I'm not encouraging people to go out there and get 8 and then you're mad at me. This is a very small sample, a very few amount of games, and your hardware might be a little slower, it might be a little more dated, you might not have as high quality a power supply, whatever it might be. Like, you might not get the exact same results as I'm getting here on this, but perhaps you can. And maybe you are going to get on, you know, an AM4 or an Intel platform, and all you can get at the time is 8 gigabytes of RAM. If that's what you have to live on for 3 months, maybe that gets you through gaming. You know, I grew up where, so someone just left a comment that I must be spoiled because I considered an 8700F an F-tier CPU, which, again, to clarify, I don't think it's an F-tier CPU. It's ranked that way by most of the other people on the platform and people in general when they're comparing it to AM5. I think it's a very qualified CPU. But I grew up in a space where we would play on HP desktops or Dell desktops or whatever we could get our hands on. And I just remember back in the day, like, I would lag. I played Unreal Tournament 2004 was my main game. I don't know if any of you guys know that, but I played it when it was like 10. You know, if I would look up, the screen would start just like blurring on me. Or if I would to go to, you know, shoot something, I'd get like 2 seconds of delay there. But I loved it because I loved gaming. So we're kind of seeing here that 8 gigs might just get you through until you can afford to get 16 gigs or something like that. Now, what I would say is if you're on AM5, again, just a suggestion or a thought here, it might be worth getting a single stick of 16 gigabytes or a single stick of 8 so that you can upgrade later. Because if you get a dual set of 16 on AM5, you cannot add another 16 to it because most of the time it becomes unstable, at least from what I've understood. I've yet to try that out, but on AM4 and these older platforms, they don't care about, you know, multiple sticks, so you're fine there. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It has brought some entertainment and maybe some information. Again, I'm just a guy on the internet that doesn't know a whole lot, that tries to make some informational stuff that may be wrong or may be accurate. I'm just showing you what I'm experiencing here. So if you have enjoyed, I would consider checking out some of my other videos. I have done several different things where I've hosted an axe throwing contest where 25 people came out, got into 35-degree weather, and it was a yard games axe throwing contest. The winner walked away with a gaming PC. I also surprised my brother. So his birthday and my birthday around the same time. He came over to my house to review a PC. What he didn't realize was that the PC he was reviewing was actually his own. I gave it to him for his birthday. So if either of those sound appealing to you, be sure to click on one of these videos and consider leaving a like on the video so that YouTube knows you enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.